Hey, y'all. As I'm choking on my coffee, I grabbed a cup of Joe and then I just choked on it. Hey, y'all. Hey, welcome to our morning radio show that we always host here on Tuesday mornings. My name is Alicia with Country Mama Musings.
Good morning, everyone. It is Casey over here at Ormsby Farms.
And I'm Monica at Bland's Promised Land Ranch here in Texas. And it's cooled off, guys. It is now only in the
I
90s.
know. Oh, you said 90s, and I was really going to be like, Monica has here too. We're in like the 60s. But I
Oh
won't be
my
mean and say
gosh.
that.
No, we're down to the 70s in the morning. I mean, it's still in the 90s in the day, but we're getting down into the 70s. Oh my gosh, it is beautiful.
That
It
must
is
feel so
fake fall.
refreshing. Fake
It
fall, that's
is
it.
fake fall. Oh my goodness, fake fall. Love it.
Yeah. I mean, I know it's going to eventually get hot again, but no, we're really excited to be here. And we talked about what did we talk about yesterday on our podcast? What safety on the homestead? Is that what we did?
Yes, we had
Yeah.
the husbands on. We had Jell's
Yes.
husbands on. It was a
And
lot of
weren't they
fun.
cute? They're
Yes.
adorable. I loved how, even though they're both used to interacting us with us when we do our lives on our own personal channels, having them on there yesterday, we were like, and then what did you do? We had to we had to coach them and coax them into talking. It was funny.
Right, right. And I think you said that also in the show. I think you said that it's so funny because the wives are like pointing to the microphones and saying,
Yeah.
"Now you speak. Now you speak."
Talk in here.
Yeah, it was
Talk
cute.
now. It was
But
really
but what's
funny.
funny about the having them on is most of the people don't really know the husbands as much as they know us. Well, I guess Eric. A lot of people know Eric because he's all over y'all's channels, but they're so knowledgeable. Like having them on and listening back to the podcast, both Papa Jim and Eric are so knowledgeable. And I just encourage everyone to go back and listen to that episode and soak up all the information that they give in that episode.
Yeah, I felt
Yeah.
like we were constantly wrangling them though. We were husband wranglers on that episode. It's like, okay, talk about this and what about that? And
I feel like
they
we have to wrangle ourselves half the time. So I don't know.
oh, I have to wrangle the husband and rein myself back is what it is. Because I want to do all the talking, like what I do here.
No,
But
you
they
know what though? I think we had a lot of we had a lot of great ideas, a lot of great things we talked about, and it was really fun to sit there and chat with them because we know the information they bring. Alicia and I, we know that they bring a lot of valuable information to our farms, but sometimes people miss that when they just hear us or they just know us from the podcast. So it's really exciting to share them with everybody else and to share what knowledge they have. So yeah, it was
right.
a really good episode. We discussed all kinds of stuff.
And I
And
think we barely touched. I think we really just barely touched the surface on what we can talk about because when I was driving yesterday, I had gone out of town yesterday and I was listening to the podcast on the way back home. It's like we didn't even talk about like safety using chainsaws on the farmstead or
mhm.
things that we've had to do here on the farm is like you've got chainsaw safety. If you're going to hook a chain to a stump and pull a stump, you've got to worry about that chain breaking and coming back and killing somebody. I mean, there are all these things that people just throw a chain on something and pull it and they don't realize there are repercussions. We didn't even touch on some of that stuff because we were so busy talking about all the other things. And
Yeah.
by the way, I love the pictures that were chosen of the two guys. They look great.
They're both eating. I just noticed. I just realized Eric was actually drinking pickle juice there, and it looks like Papa Jim's eating some ice cream or something with you,
He
hanging
was.
out.
We were at Blue Bunny. We were at the world's largest like ice cream place, and we were sampling some ice cream. It was really good.
Oh, I love it.
So, before
Yum.
we get started on our episode today, I do want to put something out there for the members of our beginning homesteading group because we are over 67,000 strong now. We appreciate all of you so much. And there's so much knowledge coming through. And we love having the highlights of the posts every week here in our morning show. We're going to be making some administration changes to that page, to that group on Facebook. And here's what we're doing. We are going to set a time up one time a week. Maybe we'll do two times a week, but at least one time a week where if you have a YouTube channel and you want to share a video that you have on your YouTube channel, we're just going to have one main post and everybody put the links to their videos as a comment in that post. It will post every week. If you're in the group, you know that every week we have something like, it's a new week. What are you doing this week? And everybody comments on that post.
Right.
Share a photo of what you've done this week on your homestead, and everybody shares a photo. We're going to have a thing where it's going to be like, hey, if you're a social media influencer and you have a YouTube channel, here's where you put your video link for the week. And that's going to free up a lot of space in the newsfeed for that group, because honestly, we get so flooded with that and nobody's really clicking on those. We as administrators, we can look back and we can see how the post interaction is. And those videos, they're going to be better served if we just kind of put them all together. So just so that you know, that's what we're going to be doing. So watch for that, and don't be surprised if you request to put a video up and we decline it, saying, hey, this is going to be done on Fridays. Make sure you do this on Fridays or whatever day we choose.
Well, I think it's a great idea too, because people are going to be able to see and know that there's a Friday post for videos.
Right.
So if maybe somebody is looking for one of, another, homesteading video, they can go back and see that very, obvious post where the homesteading videos are going to be, because it's not going to be just, excuse me, any video you want. We're not putting up just for laughs videos. We're putting up homesteading videos, right? I mean, that's kind of the point of it all. So, I think that that's important to keep it homesteading based and information like that. But I think that's a really great idea.
Right.
And,
And I hope it also doesn't, if you have videos that you feel work with some post that somebody's made, you can still post them in the comment. We're not saying that. Basically, what we're saying is, the posts that where we are either pushing out a video that a influencer may have put up that week, we're going to have those kind of consolidated into one post. So don't let that discourage you from posting a video in a comment if you feel that it will help a question that has been asked.
Correct. Keep it relevant, guys. Keep it relevant. If somebody is asking a question about one of their chickens, don't throw something in there about apples, because we're going to be talking about apples and chickens today. So just know that there are going to be some changes coming to the group, because it's overwhelming for admin sometimes. So we're going to try to streamline it a little bit, not only for admin, but mostly for the 67,000 plus members in that group. So, speaking about our group, I think we should do a comment call out. What do you think, Casey?
good idea. It's time for
Subscriber comment call out. Pew pew pew.
This was a great post. And so, Casey, this is one I think it's one that all three of us really wanted to touch on, by Kelly Torpy. So why don't you guys go ahead and take this one?
Well, I saw this one just because, especially during winter seasons and being prepared and getting stuff prepped in your pantry, seeing this was kind of like, I need to get this going. And this is fire cider. So let me pull it up. Basically, it's a popular remedy for colds, digestion, chills, coughs, that kind of stuff. And it's stuff that most homesteaders are already growing on their homestead or have in your pantries. And I just thought it was a really good post, and it reached, let me go back to see, it reached over 1,000 people. So, it was funny because all three of us had it on our list this morning at our morning meeting of wanting to do it.
And I like what Kelly says, is she says that she thought it was going to be really hot going down the hatch, but it was enjoyable and yummy. And I think that sometimes we get in our own heads where it's like, oh, it's medicinal and it's going to taste yucky and I'm not going to have it. And when you look at the ingredients, I know I would instantly say, I don't know. But, somebody had commented, could they have the recipe, please? And she was kind enough to add this picture where it has everything that you need. Now, I've been making something for the last couple of years that's not a fire cider. I just do organic lemons and I cut them up into some of my neighbor's honey, and I keep that in the fridge. And that way, if you have a sore throat or something, you just take a spoonful of that lemon honey. But I'm tempted to start a batch of fire cider, because I will admit I've never made it. And
Me
I've never
too.
tried it.
Yeah, so I think it's cool because when she posted the picture, So if you can't read the picture, it is hard to read because it's kind of like a repost. Obviously, it's a picture that she's probably captured from somewhere else, so that you lose some of that, the clarity of the picture. But if you go and you search this anywhere on the interwebs, you're going to see so many recipes for fire cider. You're going to see a lot of variations to fire cider. This is so basic and so amazing because she's got so many things. But like, I just want to remind people that if you're starting to make this and you're like, oh, either you say, oh, I can't make fire cider because I don't have any horseradish. Well, you don't have to have horseradish to make fire cider. You don't have to have fresh rosemary. You don't have to have all these ingredients. If you have a portion of these ingredients, it is still going to do a very similar thing for your body. This is just like the ultimate for this particular, person and this particular whoever posted. And this
That's
is
like
probably
the BMW of fire ciders.
exactly. This is
Or the
probably just what
Bentley. It's the Bentley.
yeah, there you go. It's what she followed. And honestly, I think it's fantastic because you've got so many wonderful medicinal items in here.
And it
But
looks
just,
beautiful.
yeah, it's pretty. But just remember, you don't have to drink or just use all those items. And so I want to encourage people to look up their own fire cider recipes. There's plenty of videos. There's plenty of other posts out there. And so don't get discouraged if you don't have horseradish or fresh sprigs of rosemary or even, fresh jalapenos. You can find them and you can grab them and you can add them and do some of these things. We don't do lemon and honey here. We actually just have a jar of honey with onion. My kids absolutely hate me for it, but it works for coughing. So I may make up some fire cider again this year too. I've only had it before in the past when my friend made me some. So
That's another thing I was going to say too is, there are times that we discuss not only on our podcast, but on the radio show here, we talk about not being self-sufficient, but community sufficient. Maybe you don't have fresh rosemary, but maybe one of your neighbors or one of your homesteading friends do. Maybe you don't have jalapenos. Maybe your jalapenos didn't come in this year, but your neighbor has a bumper
You just
crop.
come over to Ormsby Farm. Yes, we got way too many. I'm gonna
share your ingredients and say, look, if you give me some rosemary and some jalapenos, I'll make you a jar of fire cider.
Yeah.
And that way you guys can help each other out. So it's about being community sufficient.
Yeah.
So
and also I encourage people to go and look up kind of the purpose for the ingredients in there. Like go and look, what is the medicinal purpose for rosemary or for thyme or for the jalapenos? And I think that will comfort people if they're like, oh, I don't have the horseradish. This is what it's for. Okay, I don't really need it in my fire cider tea. So I encourage people to go kind of look up the purpose for the ginger or for peppercorns or for garlic. I mean, I was doing that last night. I was like, what's the best antibiotic home remedy kind of thing?
Yeah,
right.
And there's tons of articles on it that you can read, and it's all about learning too. You're just learning more and more so that you're more self and community sufficient.
Right. And also, if you're going to make the fire cider and you're going to share it, make sure you put a list of ingredients on there for those that you're going to share with. Because, for instance, my brother is terribly, terribly allergic to horseradish. I mean, he goes into almost like an anaphylactic shock if he has horseradish. So make sure that you don't gift it to someone without having that ingredients listed.
Yeah.
So you know whether they can have it or not. And if you have a family member that can't have, say, horseradish, it's okay to admit it. Like we said, just omit it from your recipe and move on to something else. That's okay.
Oh, I thought you said admit it, like
No,
like you're ashamed
that's why
of it.
I said it twice. That's why I said
Yes.
omit it.
Please admit if you're ashamed, if you're
Please
allergic.
enunciate.
Don't be ashamed.
Alicia, spicy today. Admit it.
Don't be ashamed of your horseradish allergy.
Nobody will make fun of you.
Get it out there on the table.
Except as we laugh now. It's terrible.
Right.
People making fun of me because I can't say the word omit. It's going to ruin my whole day.
Oh my God.
Isn't it bad enough that I've got a terrible haircut? Now you got to make fun of my speech as well.
No.
I love you.
No,
guys.
we love your haircut.
It's so easy. I'm telling you. My kids are giving me
If you
flack
haven't
for
checked
it,
it
but I don't
out, go
care.
ahead and go over to Country Mama Musing social media pages. You'll see she's posted it. Go and check it out.
I cut it all off so I can get up in the morning and walk.
There you go.
And that's since we're talking about it, I'm going to throw it up here because when you're on a homestead and you're doing these things every day on your homestead, you kind of forget about your self-care. And I've done that. I have forgotten about my self-care.
Mhm.
And so I'm on this
Right.
self-care kick right now on the homestead. Like, I haven't collected eggs in 3 days, but in the last 7 days, I've walked a marathon. So that's where
I
my
love it.
priorities are right now.
Love
But my
it.
hair was in my face all the time, so I cut all my hair off so I can go exercise. I'm weird, I'll admit it, but I'm enjoying what I'm doing, and I appreciate my co-host support. But, that's just one of the great things about sharing these posts here is now you guys know that cold and flu season's coming up. Make yourself a really nice batch of fire cider. Now, Kelly was kind enough to share that. I'm going to bring up because we actually picked 2 posts from Kelly this week because, and I'm hoping that my co-hosts are going to be able to pull this up next. She did also a really great post showing how she's drying some goldenrod, and then she shared a post where she shared the recipe to make goldenrod jelly, and she says it's very delicious. And just like when you incorporate or introduce locally sourced honey into your diet, those bees actually get the pollen from your local native flowers and plants. And then when you ingest that honey, you build up an allergen resistance. So that helps with those local allergies. Well, it's the same with the goldenrod. A lot of people are like, "Oh, that I'm going to be so allergic right now." And people are like, "No, it's not the goldenrod. It was what's the other plant they were saying it was? I've got it. Ragweed. Ragweed is what causes the allergies. But she shared this really great recipe for making the goldenrod jelly. And I think it's going to be along the same lines. It's going to have a lot of benefits for you using something that grows local to you. And even if you do have a little bit of an issue with goldenrod causing some of your allergies, incorporate it into your diet. And I think you'll build up an immunity to it. And then you won't have those issues. So her jelly just looks beautiful that she made. And she's, really put everything out there that you need. And, it's something that Casey and I were talking about earlier before we actually came on for our radio show. Even if you make this, let's say this goldenrod jelly, and for some reason it doesn't set, don't throw it away. You can still use it. Use that goldenrod jelly in tea as a syrup in tea.
Oh yeah.
There's
Yes.
all these different
Definitely.
uses. Don't be discouraged if it doesn't set up because sometimes that just happens. It happens to all of us. So there
It's
are
been
other ways you can
happening
use it.
constantly here at Ormsby Farm as the jellies are just not setting. And I'm an experienced canner, so it's not like I'm a newbie canner. And Alicia's right. Don't throw it away. It's good for pancakes. It's good for
Yeah.
syrup and teas. It's good for if you are a adult beverage consumer to add it to an adult beverage to sweeten it up, make it a little spicy kind of thing, get you a little ta-ta kind of drink. So definitely don't throw it away.
Well, I think it's interesting too because I think Kelly is really looking ahead for the seasons as well. One of Homestead, you always have to be thinking the next season. We're in summer still, but we're about to be in fall. We're in fake fall here. But I'm already now thinking about winter and you're trying to think. So you can see she's already looking ahead. She's looking at the fire cider. She's looking at the goldenrod jelly. Goldenrod in general is thought. I'm going to say thought. It's not a proven, but it is thought to treat things like bacterial infections, fungal infections. It can even help with inflammation, like rheumatism and stuff. And then even with diabetes. So when you're looking at healing your body naturally or, looking at keeping yourself healthy through the seasons that are about to come up, she is really thinking ahead about those items and she's sharing with us. And I think that is absolutely amazing. And I just want to say thank you, Kelly, because this is the type of thing you have to do on a homestead is you need to think about the
Right.
season ahead. And Two
Mhm.
Doves, Bees and Gardens, John says right there, as beekeepers, we really like to share the benefits of raw natural honey, local honey. However, most people will not get the benefit of goldenrod, ragweed, or summer or fall pollen producing plants. They forget about those type of things because so many people do have allergies and they're freaked out about trying that kind of stuff. And we always say, be careful. You obviously want to do things in moderation and make sure you're prepared. And you can always have allergies to any of those things. So always be mindful of that kind of
I
stuff.
think what they're saying is if you make it into the jelly, you're not necessarily going to get the benefits that you do with the honey with regards to allergies.
Yeah.
The goldenrod jelly might be a nice thing to add to your pantry, but I think he's saying you're not going to get the benefits of building up an immune
Yeah.
to the allergens, I think is what he's saying.
Got
But
it. Well, I think
still
that
beautiful stuff.
she even posts in there too that I think there's a post on there where she showed, I think on part of her post, she showed it in capsules, didn't she? Or was that something else I was looking at beyond her? But you can actually encapsulate the goldenrod once you dry it out. So she's drying it out for just particularly jelly, but you can dry it out and put it in all kinds of stuff. So I think that's kind of cool too.
Yeah, let me see if I can find hers again.
That's okay if you can't. I thought I saw it, but I was also looking up earlier goldenrod stuff because I really thought that was really awesome that she had done that. And, you know, it's important.
Here it is right here.
So she was just on the jelly. Okay, I thought I saw like little capsules somewhere on that post, but maybe it was just on the actual.
She's talking about making it for tea.
Yeah.
The leaves for tea.
And even you can make a whole wheat honey muffin mix. Honey muffin recipe.
There's quite a bit of information in those 2 posts alone.
There is. There's so much information there. I think that's awesome.
And, you know, speaking of things growing, you know, all of us here on Round the Hay Bale, we love to use Kelzyme to get our gardens growing, and they're sponsoring this radio broadcast today. So, Casey, why don't you throw it on over to Kelzyme?
With gardening season in full bloom, Kelzyme certified organic products are just what your garden needs.
From fertilizing your orchards to feeding your soil, Kelzyme's calcium-based fertilizer gives your plants the essential minerals they need to thrive.
Applying Kelzyme to agricultural soils and waters has been proven to increase plant and crop yields while making vegetables and grains healthier and more nutritious.
In addition, Kelzyme can help restore the nutrient balance in animals when they're fed plants grown using Kelzyme in both soil and water.
To check out all of Kelzyme's organic products, visit kelzyme.com and use our promo code HAYBALE for 10% off of your purchase.
Are you enjoying the Hay Bale topics? To learn more, click on our Linktree link to get all our product recommendations, along with discount codes and more.
Okay, so I wanted to say I got some clarity from what they were saying, Two Doves, Bees, and Gardens. He was saying that most honey, like especially here in Texas, are spring honey. Beekeepers here typically pull their honey before July 4th. So maybe that's what you were trying to explain to me, Alicia, but that the bees, people won't get the benefits of those because the bees aren't actually dealing, like they're not making honey from those fall or summer plants.
Okay.
Well, so when you're consuming honey, right? So when you're consuming honey, they're saying that it's going to help with your allergies that are local, right? So if you consume local,
I was about to say, can we just point that out too? Because I was the newbie homesteader at the beginning that was like, oh, I'll go buy honey from the store and it will help my allergies. No, it needs to be honey that is actually grown in the area where you live.
Yeah. So if
there's
you're
got to be a bee maker around you. So look, don't just buy it at the store.
A bee maker. You're so cute.
See that?
If there's a bee, make it around
There's
you.
a bee maker.
It sounds like some sort of like wizard, a bee maker. I like it. I like it. We're gonna start calling Two Doves, Bees, and we're gonna start calling John and Sarah bee makers, not beekeepers. It's gonna be great.
Yes.
And whenever we get near them, that's what I'm gonna do because we're friends with them, so we see them. So, so no, I think what he's trying to say though is because they're pollinating, they're consuming all their stuff, and they're getting all their goodies from the spring plants. You're going to glean those allergies, all the goodness from those spring flowers and those spring, things. So you're not really going to gain the benefits of fall and summer allergens or like the pollen stuff,
Right.
because people pull their honey beforehand. So they have all the spring honey. They don't need to worry about the summer and the fall because they pull them. Plus, I know I've heard this too from Gwen as well. They say most people don't care for fall honey. People think it's a hot, spicy type of honey due to the overabundance of snow on the prairie, sometimes called snow on the mountain. It's a flower here that the bees will pollinate. And as they're pollinating and doing all that, the honey that they create from that pollen is like it. I've had it before. It's like a spicy honey, but it's not like spicy like you added habanero in it. It's like spicy, like different. It's a more aggressive taste honey, if that's the way to put it.
Throw that in your fire cider.
There you go. That would be. But it's interesting because, like you said, you're not going to glean just in honey itself. So it's important to know that the allergy type of resistance and things you're going to build up. It's really your honey for allergies may not work for the fall. And so if you're taking honey on a daily basis for your allergies, and for whatever reason you notice it stops really helping you in the fall and winter time, especially in the fall, maybe that's why. Maybe because the honey that you're consuming, those bees haven't really been consuming all the good stuff from the
point.
Does that make sense?
It does. But regardless of what time of year it is, make sure you support your local Mr. and Mrs. Bee person, your bee growers,
your bee makers,
your apiaries,
the beekeepers. The beekeepers are your area.
The keepers of the bees. The keepers of the bees.
Exactly. Well, bees are great because they pollinate all your beautiful fruit trees and all of your beautiful plants in your garden. So we need bees. So be kind to the bees. And I think we have another subscriber comment call out, don't we, Casey? It's time for
subscriber comment call out. Pew pew pew. I know every time it never gets old. Well, maybe for some people, but yeah, no, I as I'm over here muting myself, chomping on apples. We talked about a couple Apple posts this morning that tis the season right now, and this one is from. Now, I am sorry, Emily, because I probably am going to butcher your last name. So one of my co-hosts want to jump in, but it's Emily Mlinick. You're sick.
Call her Miss Emily.
Yes, Miss Emily. I love that. It said, what kind of apples are these? They are super sweet. It is hard because there's different apples in each of the pictures. So it's hard to really tell which apples they are. One thing that I've learned is even though Golden Delicious and Granny Smith look the same on the outside, once you peel back if you're canning or baking or doing whatever with it, the Golden Delicious have a more yellow tinted flesh and the Granny Smith have more of a white. So I would push that question to you also, Emily. On what kind of flesh does it have. But I do want to say that we got a lot of different comments. I wanted to highlight one of them from Rafir. I hope I'm saying that. Oh, you're not butchering. Where did I pick this one to not know how to pronounce people's names? But it says to take a leaf sample to your extension office for if there's any types of diseases. Now, again, we've talked about this on other morning shows and podcasts. Make sure that if you're leaving a comment that you have the knowledge on it, because there was one that said that there was blight because the dark leaves. It is not blight. My apples look the same way, and it is not blight. And it's a dark picture. So just be mindful of what you're commenting back. Me and Alicia were talking about that your apples that you grow homegrown are not going to look like the apple in the store. Right. Alicia, I don't know if you wanted to touch more on that.
Right. It is a huge difference when you have been going to the store your entire life and you see these beautiful polished apples without any blemishes and the color is uniform, and then you have an apple straight out of the tree and it's not the same beast. It's entirely different. And you think, oh, there's something wrong. And there might not necessarily be anything wrong. So, the point was made. Take a leaf. If you have a healthy leaf, take a healthy leaf. If you have a leaf that you have a concern about, take that leaf as well. And then take a sample or two of the apples, and you can take them to the extension office. And not only are they going to be able to help you identify what type of apple you are growing on your homestead, they're also going to be able to help you identify whether or not this is just something that's normal that's happening within this fruit tree, or if you do indeed have a problem. So, and again, look at the first word of our group, beginners. We're all beginners here. We're all learning as we go. And we are so grateful to everybody who shares their knowledge. We just need to be really careful that we don't unintentionally discourage someone from sharing by how we word things. Make sure you word things so that it's going to be something that is accepted as knowledge and helpful, not necessarily something that's going to be shameful. So, I mean, it's a hard balance to find, but
Alicia, I wanted to kind of call it out because hello, Miss Emily. She is actually listening to us right now. So hi, Emily.
Hi, Emily. Miss Emily.
Hello. Well, over in YouTube, they said that's a new variety. We're going to call it Emily Super Sweet. There you go.
Yes.
Oh, nice. I like it.
And Emily, since you're in the comments, I wanted to ask, have you peeled these apples? Do they have more of a whitish flesh? Are they more yellow? Or have you figured out what type it is since you have posted it? Because, well,
And
your
it's a
post
beautiful
was,
harvest. I mean,
it
look how full
is,
her
it's
basket is just
beautiful.
right there.
Uh-huh. And apples, I'm telling you, I don't know what it is. Homegrown apples are just sweeter. The taste is better. Yes, they're sometimes smaller, but they're sweeter, and it's a white flesh. I made applesauce and canned it. All
Oh,
right,
that's awesome.
it's probably a Granny Smith. They look very Granny Smithish, except the red.
I was gonna say the red tint throws me off as far as grains. I'm
But I
gonna
think it's
admit I
multiple
don't have
trees.
I have no apple trees here on my little 5 acres. So I just, anytime I get apples, it's when a neighbor calls and says, "Come get apples." I'm like, "Okay, I don't care what type they are. I get them and I do something with them." So I'm not knowledgeable. If you were to ask me what type of apples those are, I would say they're round and delicious. So
Oh, see, and
yeah.
that's the true textbook description, I think,
Right, the
Alicia.
Miss Emily's are round and delicious.
Exactly. And regardless, as she said, she made applesauce and she's canned it. So regardless of what type they are, they have made some wonderful canned goods for
That's
her
awesome.
over the winter. And I applaud you, Emily. So thank you for posting that.
She said round and delicious. That's right. That is so great. I love it. We had apple trees here and they died promptly. They they did not survive. But this is before we Kelzyme the crap out of all of our stuff. So
Right.
I will say that the Kelzyme has helped us get plums and peaches. So I think I'm going to encourage Eric to purchase some apple trees again. And we're going to find a good spot for them. And we are going to Kelzyme when we plant them, because I'm already seeing our gorgeous like maple and the other ones that we bought over the winter last year. I'm already starting to see them turn color and to have that strength that I was hoping. And they've only not even been here planted in our homestead for they've been less than a year, and they're already doing wonderful. So
Now, Monica, did you get full trees or did you get dwarf trees?
no, we got, I don't know. No, I'm thinking we got full trees for the apple.
Yeah, because I learned, because I was just like y'all. I wanted to find some more trees to put on the homestead,
Yeah.
but I was discouraged because, most of the time, it's 8 to 10 years before an apple tree will start producing. But if you get a dwarf tree, which dwarf trees get to about 12 feet if they're pruned properly and won't get too crazy, they're 3 to 4 years. And that is our homesteading friends that allowed us to pick apples on their property, have the dwarf trees, and they produce almost just as much. I mean, we got over 50 pounds, and that was after they had already harvested all they wanted. So
Oh, wow.
definitely look into, if you're listening and you want apple trees, don't be discouraged about, it will take forever for it to produce fruit. Get you some dwarf trees. And I guess that's politically correct to say. I mean,
That's what the breed of the tree is. The genome. They call
Wow.
them dwarf trees.
That's good to know. I'm making notes right now because honestly, I want to grow apples. I mean, like I said,
me
we had
too.
beautiful plum harvest. We had a peach harvest, and we have like little tiny peaches. They're like these little Saturn peaches, I think is what they're called. But they're gorgeous and they tasted so great. And even Eric is like, you know what? He's like, I don't care if they're small. He's like, if we can do something with them, if we can make a peach cobbler out of them, which I did. I only got 2 peach cobblers out of our entire harvest because they were small. But that was the first time I've been able to do anything besides feed them to the animals. So yeah, I am excited. I'm going to look into dwarf apple trees because maybe we'll have some apples on the homestead then in the future. That would be great.
And Casey has put up a follow-up apple. We're not going to do our comment call out do, but Maya shared. Maya has shared her first apple harvest from her tree, and she want to know how can she store these long term. There are so many things. Our hosts, the 3 of us here, we should do a round robin because I love to do round robins in our podcasts of what you can do with these apples. And I'll start. Put those on those little apple core little thing where when you spin it and it takes the peel off, cores it and turns it into little spirals at the same time. Then you put those spirals in your dehydrator and you dehydrate them and then put them in your pantry as dehydrated fruit snacks. So good.
Ooh,
What do you guys think?
That sounds really good. Well, I'm going, because I thought you were going somewhere else with this, because I asked you, Alicia, for a recipe this year that I did. with the apples. And basically what it is, and I didn't do the rings, but you peel and core your apples and you cut it into the rings or into chunks like I did. And you make a simple syrup and you put the red hot candies in there. And you can it that way. And it's
Cinnamon
great.
apples.
Cinnamon apples.
Red
You
hot
kind of
apples.
see, I have it to use over the winter for either just snacking or as garnishes for my apple brandy that I make that when we come back around, I'll talk about. Monica, what about you?
So I was going to say dehydrate, but I would probably just can them. Honestly, I would probably can them or do something else so that if I can them, then I know I could probably use them for, if I can them, I would probably use them for some sort of like dessert later because I'm a dessert person. So if I can't can them because I'm afraid that they're not going to hold up consistency wise, then I would probably just make a bunch of apple pies or apple bread and all these different apple things and then throw everything in the freezer.
Monica,
but I don't have freezer space normally.
Have you found that recipe that I don't know if you have the Ball canning book that is called Grandma's Apple Pie in a Jar?
No.
Have I shared that with you, Fred? I haven't. Oh my goodness, I have to send it to you. It's
but
so
you know
good.
what? Honestly, I would for sure dehydrate them. And Emily is in here still, and she said, "How long would they last in the pantry if they were dehydrated?" My response is until the family eats everything, because I don't think anything dehydrated in the pantry lasts long for me when it comes to fruits. But she said, yeah, they would go fast in her house too. But if you have a lot of apples, how long would they last in the pantry dehydrated?
Well, if you dehydrate them and then you put them in your container that you're going to keep them in, you have to proof them first. What I mean by proofing is once they're in your container, look at them every day to see if you see any moisture. If you see moisture, you have to put them back in the dehydrator. They have to have zero moisture. And then you can vacuum seal that jar and that keeps the air out of there. And they're going to stay for a really, really, really long time. And what's really great is then you can pull them out. You can cut them into little chunks. You can add them to your oatmeal. You can rehydrate them and use them in a cobbler. There are all these great things that you can do with them, but proof them first. Then make sure that they're in an airtight container that you've vacuum sealed to get all that air out of there. And they're going to last.
Yeah.
A couple years. You can keep them.
I was about to say, I think it's like 2-3 years is what people have.
They're not going to last that long.
Yeah, no. I mean, unless you do like 100 pounds of apples and dehydrate all of it, maybe not even then would it last that long.
I'll tell you, I've got apples that I dehydrated 3 years ago, and they're still in the pantry and they look great. And I pull them out and I use them every once in a while in little things that I do here on the farm. So they're going to last, but you do have to proof it. That's the important thing with anything that you dehydrate. Proof it first. When you put it in your jar and you put it on the shelf, don't tuck it in the back anywhere. Put it where you can see it, inspect it, look for the moisture. If you catch it in time, throw it back in the dehydrator. If you don't catch it in time, you're going to get mold. And then all of that work's gone to waste. You'll have to toss it.
Yeah, see, that's my fear whenever I dehydrate fruit. So I dehydrate it and then I make the kids eat it immediately anyway. So because I've never successfully kept it in the refrigerator. I mean, kept it anywhere for long term. Usually I dehydrate and then it sits on the counter because the kids are already eating it. But I'm always afraid that I'm going to grow mold on it because I've never felt like it was dehydrated enough. Like with fruit, you always feel that kind of leathery feel and it never feels like the moisture is gone. So I get a little nervous. I'm not nervous about canning leftovers and canning all these things that they say you shouldn't can, but I'm getting nervous about dehydrating fruit.
Is that the unrebel person of you?
Yeah, that's the obedient person in me.
Right.
Yeah.
I also want to share one thing that I've learned is if you're going to take apples like this, you're going to cut them up and you're actually going to make an apple pie filling. It never fails. It really just never fails that when you process your apple pie filling in the canner, it seeps out. You get a lot of the vacuuming is not the word I'm looking for. What's the word I'm looking for?
Siphoning?
Siphoning. You get a lot of siphoning with your apple pie filling. So the trick that I've learned is, if it tells you to have 1 inch headspace, give it 1.5 inches.
Yeah.
Maybe 2, because it's going to expand. It's going to try to bubble over. I've had great success with leaving, more headspace with my apple pie filling, and you don't have that issue because
I do that with everything, Alicia. I do extra headspace period when I can, just for that reason to make sure it doesn't siphon out.
That's because
Yeah.
you're a rebel, because you know that the headspace is
It's for a reason.
particularly there for a reason. So as much as people want to say they're not rebels, if they're leaving extra headspace, they are rebels.
I'm a rebel, but the apples are usually the only thing I've ever done that with. Everything else, I pretty much keep my headspace where it needs to be. But with the apple pie filling, I've always found you'll have that siphoning, and I've seen so many people say, "What did I do wrong?" Give yourself that little extra headspace, because as it's processing, it's going to bubble up and it's going to spill over, and this just keeps you from having that. And truthfully, you use it up so quick anyways. I've never had apple pie filling sit on the shelf for 2, 3, 4 years that I have to worry about anything. I usually use it up that fall. So, but the thing that you could do is you could cut them up and give them a nice little lemon juice water bath so they don't turn brown on you, and then you can freeze them, and then you can pull them out for muffins or cobblers or anything that you like. There's so many different ways. And applesauce that was mentioned earlier, that is a great use. And Casey and I were discussing earlier, because this is something that I did. Now, Casey has a different story this year, and it's up to him if he wants to share it. But when I was gifted, I don't know, probably 100 pounds of apples from my neighbor, I not only made my apple cider vinegar, but I made apple scrap jelly, where I took all those peels and the cores and I made jelly. And it was beautiful. It turned out beautiful. You didn't have to add pectin because there's natural pectin in the apples. And I don't know how many little half pints I still have in my pantry of the apple scrap jelly. It is like liquid gold. It is so delicious. And Casey and I were talking about it. He's like, "What do I do with this stuff?" Oh, make apple scrap jelly. Mine turned out great. Casey, not so much. It's up to him if he wants to share it or not. But I think I probably said enough.
Well, it's a good old solid wah wah wah. No,
What
basically,
happened?
I followed the recipe like it was. Again, for those who are listening, I'm not a newbie canner, so it's not. It could have been user error. I don't know. But I did it. I canned it. It did not set, and I'm thinking, well, maybe it didn't set because it didn't have any pectin in it. But Alicia was like, no, it has the natural pectin. So I said, you know what? I'm still going to keep it because I'll add it to like cocktails over the winter, because it'd be like a really sweet, thick apple juice, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I opened one night thinking, okay, I just want to try it. It was vinegar and horrible. Absolutely horrible. So I had to dump all of it. And it was kind of a I will say that I'm not a rebel on reusing lids, so I was very upset that I had to throw away all 26 of the lids. So
Casey, you can keep your lids for when you do your dry pantry stable stuff that you use your vacuum sealer for.
But see, I'm bougie and I have the ring and lid combined for that. I have
No.
my little black ones.
No. What is wrong with you?
I know.
You use those
I'm
for stuff that you're not canning. Don't throw those away, you bougie thing, you.
Well, they were Ball also, and I would much rather have my 4-jar ones. So I will say that's probably one of the reasons, because the 4 jars was not the lid, and that's what happens.
You know what, Alicia, he also doesn't have kids yet, so just wait.
True.
When you have kids, you find out you be scrapping all kinds of stuff.
I was about to say, what do we do? Just throw them at the kids, the used lids, or
no? You find ways to make sure that you're keeping everything.
No, I will say, since you said keeping everything, another thing that we use for the scraps besides the vinegar, because I do a lot of the apple scrap vinegar and it turns out wonderful, but also the peels I put in a tray and freeze it and then put it into a bag for chicken treats, and they absolutely love them, the peels of the apples.
It's so great that when you grow your own produce, or when you get produce that's been grown and you know the love and the effort that's gone into it, you are so against scrapping anything. You don't put it in the trash. You find a use for it. And I love that idea of using it for your chickens, because so many people, I mean, I have people visit all the time, and I'll have them doing things here with me on the farm, and then I'll open up my little pull open cabinet where the trash is, and it's like there's scraps in there. It's like, what are you doing? No food gets thrown in the trash here. You don't like my pasta salad? That's fine. It goes to the chickens. You don't throw it in the trash. Everything either goes in the freezer to make a veggie stock, or it goes for the chickens or the pig, everything, or in the compost. You don't throw anything away.
Yeah. Well, Maya's in here. She's the one with those beautiful apples that we were just pointing out. And she said that they are Cortland apples and they are absolutely gorgeous. So thank you for sharing that, Maya. And thank you for being in here and hanging out with us this
Yeah.
afternoon or this morning.
And
Still
they do
morning.
kind of resemble Emily's apples. They've got the green and the red.
Yeah, they're absolutely beautiful. They're so pretty. I'm a sucker for a good looking piece of fruit. I mean, just fruit in
Me
general is
too.
really
Oh
pretty.
my
So.
goodness. Yes.
Okay, so before we get into anything else, I just want to say thank you for everybody who's been in the chat too. We've got Carrie Leonard over there, and on YouTube we've got Lisa Colovi, we've got Janice at Where to Begin Homestead, and I know Carmen with Jesus Loving Homesteader is in here, as well as John and Sarah from Two Doves, Bees and Gardens. So thank you guys so much for hanging out in the chat with us and giving us all these different topics and things to talk about, whether you're in the group or outside of the group. Just being able to chat with you and to have these interactions is wonderful. So thank you all for showing up.
And if you're not in the Facebook group, please feel free to come on over and share the knowledge there too. Because again, it's the beginning homesteaders group. They could use your knowledge.
Yeah.
And we're a knowledge friendly group, and we want to share the knowledge with each other so that we can all grow. So if you're not in that group, come on over. Yes, you have to fill out a membership questionnaire. And I'm going to throw this out here since we're all a little saucy today. If you recommend, I'm sorry, but if you're going to recommend a friend to join our group, there are some membership questions to answer. And if anybody answers those questions and they're snippy, I'm going to delete the request. There's no need to be snippy. There's a reason why the questions are there. It's to protect the membership from scammers and spammers and people who are just not good for the group. It keeps them out. And when we first started the group, we had a lot of trolls because we didn't have the questions. And people were always trying to put their Bitcoin stuff up and, from some third world country saying that they're a prince and they want to send you money and all kinds of weirdness. So it's to protect the group. And if you can't answer the questions,
if you can't play
don't
nice, you will not be allowed into the group. So just play nice.
Right. I'm not asking for a 3-page essay. I'm asking 3 basic questions and agree to the group rules. And if you can't do that without being snippy, then you're going to get delete. So I'm just saying.
And so
I don't know
basically
where
to tag
on
on,
these days.
well, to kind of piggyback onto what we were talking about, that one, we want this to be a negative free zone. I was trying to think of the best way to put it. Negative free zone, because this is a beginner's homesteading guide. Listen, we're all beginners. Whether you've been homesteading for 10 years, 10 months, 10 days, you can always learn something. When you stop learning, that is the downfall. And because we mentioned Carmen in here, we had an episode with our podcast last week called The Mini Homestead, and it kind of ties into this next comment call out that we wanted to bring up. So it kind of worked all well.
It's time for
subscriber comment call out. Pew pew pew.
Oh, I just love this one. This is from Ayla. It's either Ayla or Isla, so hopefully she'll be able to pop in here and let us know the correct way to say her name. But, I thought it was really neat because she poses this question and it got a lot of post reach and a lot of feedback. And it was, she's living in a trailer park and she wants to know what are some ways that she can start a mini homestead. And it is something that we have discussed since day one of our podcast. Don't let people pigeonhole you into what you think a homestead. You don't have to have 10 acres. It can be in a condo. It can be in an apartment. It can be in a trailer park. It can be in a suburban home setting. Don't get stuck on the word homestead and think you have to fit in a specific box. There are things that you can do to prepare your home wherever it is, so that you're prepared and you can put things away and you can be what we like to call, again, we're not using the word self-sufficient, you're community sufficient. There are things that you can do regardless of where you are. And I think it was really great that Ayla was able to request some information on this and that people were able to give her some feedback. And it could be as simple as taking $10 a week and stocking up on your pantry stores. And I have a very good friend who she lives in a little suburban area, and she's constantly telling me, I don't have room for that. I don't have room for, $10 of extra grocery to put somewhere. Yes, you do. You can get $10 worth of canned goods and you can slide them under a bed. You can slide them underneath the end table on each side of your couch. You can store them behind your couch. There are so many different places, if you just think outside the box, where you can have an extra pantry store in your home, regardless of where you live, and be prepared for winter months, lean months, grocery stores closing down, who knows what. But that's all part of being community sufficient. Guys?
And I was just going to say, that's the episode right there where we talk about the mini homestead and homesteading on different size properties. Definitely scan that QR code in the top right hand corner. Head over to any of our podcast platforms to listen to that episode, because Carmen is, again, super knowledgeable, and she does not have a ginormous plot of land, and she has great tips and tricks that would help newbie homesteaders on smaller plots start their homestead. So definitely check that out. I know, Monica, did you want to add something into that?
No, I mean, I think you guys have kind of all said it. You've said everything that I was going to say. I think there's a lot of great comments there, and sometimes you have to weed through the good ones and the not so good ones. And I haven't read all 99 comments, so I'm not actually calling anybody out. But I think that it's awesome that she was able to ask that question and get such a great amount of response. People really love to offer knowledge to people, and I think it's great. So I hope that her house, that her home, her homestead turns into everything she wants it to be. Really, truly.
Right. Absolutely. Absolutely. And I haven't read the 99 comments either, so I was going to be saucy, I think is how Alicia put it, and call somebody out, but I haven't read it, so I won't. I'll behave this morning, y'all. I'll behave.
Sorry, I was saying what I was saying, but I was saying what I was saying, but I was putting in the link tree. So I put the link. Oh, maybe not. Yes, I did. I put the link tree link in the different areas so that everybody could see, and they can click on that link tree and go to all our different podcast stuff. Everything that we've got is in our link tree, and you can go see not only the Hay Bale merch, everything that we've got, all of our own YouTube channels, just everything that we encourage and support. You can find it there, and you can go to the podcast areas and go back and click on one of the old episodes and stuff too. So,
And I was just being silly by trying to say hi to everybody, and my caps were on, so I was basically yelling at everybody.
Oh, you were shouting at everyone.
Apologies for the caps.
In YouTube world, that's
so sorry, but that just means I really, really mean it.
Well, and I want to play this also, since we were talking about our link tree.
Are you enjoying the Hay Bale topics? To learn more, click on the Linktree link to get all of our product recommendations, along with discount codes and more.
And I think on that note, since we're about to wrap up, ladies, don't we have some special announcement to do? I think we may have something that we want all of our listeners to know, right?
I think so.
Yeah, so we have a special announcement coming out really soon.
Really, really soon, as in next Monday. Because yesterday it's so funny to think that we're on our 4th season of the podcast. And it was our mid-season finale yesterday with Eric and Papa Jim. And y'all have gotten our 4th season to our most downloaded season, which is crazy to me. We are so grateful that y'all are enjoying us that much, that you're just downloading us that much, which is great. But because of that, we are in the process of recording 12 more episodes for season 4, and somebody may be joining us. So you're going to have to come next Monday to see who that somebody is.
Yeah, because this country mama right here is not going to, let the cat out of the bag like I have in prior radio broadcasts. I'm just verbally vomiting it all out there for everybody. And my co-hosts are like, we weren't releasing that info yet. We're still doing something special. And it's like, telegraph, telephone, tell Alicia. because I just can't keep things to myself sometimes because I just don't realize. But I'm not going to say anything today. I'm going to behave myself.
But it's really exciting news, I think. I think all of
I
us are
think
really
so.
excited. Now we personally have already been shooting with this person for a couple weeks now because again, we pre-record all of our episodes.
Mhm.
So I really think that y'all are going to enjoy these new episodes we have coming out for you.
Yeah, we've talking about some good stuff. We have some great topics that are coming up. I've been really excited as well with some of our special guests we have coming at the end of this season. We've already recorded a few of those episodes, and I think they were phenomenal. I mean, I am going to toot our horns. I think we did a great job, and I think that our episode, our guests for these guests are amazing, and I am so thankful that we have these amazing guests that are willing to come on and share the knowledge and share the things that they want to say, and we're able to share with everyone else out there. So I think it's awesome, and we're kind of talking about more specific topics coming up in the second season as well. We're really getting in the nitty gritty with some of these things, and I think it's going to be great. I'm really excited to share the second half of season 4 with everyone.
Agreed. And it also, if you haven't heard our season 1, season 2, and season 3, definitely go back and listen. You know, we've had some wonderful guests over the years. And one, me and Monica were actually texting about them, the band Macmillan we had on season 1 and 2. They're on the verge of hitting 1 million subscribers. So we're so excited for them. And
oh my God.
Isn't it? It's just crazy. It's crazy.
Yes. If you haven't checked out the band Macmillan, they were on our very first episode, right? I think it was our very first episode.
It was. Yeah.
And they were singing, and it was so great. And they're such a great family.
And they came back season 2 also.
Yeah. And you definitely need to go check them out. They're amazing. And they're just funny and just so cute because they're siblings. And it's always fun to see the sibling dynamic, you know?
Right. Absolutely. And this next couple of 12 episodes that we have coming out are definitely going to be more fall and holiday related. So we hope you come back and tune in for our special announcement next Monday. But I guess now is the best time to send it one more time over to our absolutely amazing sponsors that we absolutely love, Kelzyme. So I'm going to send it over to them right now.
With gardening season in full bloom, Kelzyme certified organic products are just what your garden needs.
From fertilizing your orchards to feeding your soil, Kelzyme's calcium-based fertilizer gives your plants the essential minerals they need to thrive.
Applying Kelzyme to agricultural soils and waters has been proven to increase plant and crop yields while making vegetables and grains healthier and more nutritious.
In addition, Kelzyme can help restore the nutrient balance in animals when they're fed plants grown using Kelzyme in both soil and water.
To check out all of Kelzyme's organic products, visit kelzyme.com and use our promo code HeyBale for 10% off of your purchase.
Okay, before we go, before Alicia closes us out, I wanted to say, don't forget to come back next week, like we said, for this special announcement. But do not forget to come back because your comment may be one of the ones we're calling out. And we love to talk about the things that you're saying in our homesteading group, in the Beginner's Homesteading Guide. It is super important to be able to share the knowledge that you all have with everyone out there. And I think it's really awesome that we're able to call out these comments. We're able to highlight you who is in the group. You know, we are a huge group and we're only able to pick out a handful of people. And it's not that your post has to become some amazing post that 8,000 people see. It's just what you're posting is really hitting us. And we're like, wow, that's a great post. So whether it reaches 3 people or 3,000 people, just know that your post, they matter to us and we're reading them. We're reading them all week long and we're seeing what you're doing and we love it. So don't forget to come back here and check out these great comments so that everybody can share the knowledge that we have with one another. So Alicia, throw it to you.
Absolutely right. Make sure you join that group, Beginning Homesteaders group. We love having you guys there. And we love having you join us every week for our podcast on Mondays and for our radio show here on Tuesday mornings. We really appreciate you guys showing up and spending your mornings with us. We will see you again next week. Be sure that you take care of yourself, take care of each other, have a blessed week, and we'll see you here again on Hey Y'all Hey.
Hey, Monica, did you know it's now even easier to listen to Round the Hay Bale podcast?
What? Really? How easy?
That's right. All you have to do is say, Alexa, Play Round the Hay Bale podcast.
Playing Round the Hay Bale podcast on Apple Music.
Ooh, we fancy. Tune in to Round the Hay Bale every Monday at 9 a.m. Central.